The Hinckley Welcome to today's Hinckley Forum. My name is Rory Stewart. The Hinckley Institute of Politics is a nonpartisan institute at the University of Utah. The Hinckley provides an array of transformative experiences for students through internships, forums, and classes. Hinckley Forums seek to foster public discourse and civil debate on the most current and pressing issues, bringing in local, national, and international thought leaders. A quick note, please stick around after today's event for the Civic Engagement Fair. There are several student groups and clubs in the lobby, and if you are looking for ways to get involved in your community, this is a great place to start. Today, we are thrilled to welcome FTC Commissioner Melissa Holyoak to our campus. Melissa Holyoak was sworn in March 25th, 2024 as a commissioner of the Federal Trade Commission. She brings extensive experience as a litigator and leader. Prior to her appointment, she served as Solicitor General with the Utah Attorney General's office, where she oversaw the civil appeals, criminal appeals, constitutional defense, and special litigation, and antitrust and data privacy divisions. She also managed multi-state matters, including these involving consumer protection and antitrust claims. Before taking on that role, she served as president and general counsel of Hamilton Lincoln Law Institute, a Washington, D.C. based public interest law firm, and other public interest attorney positions with the Competitive Enterprise Institute and the Center for Class Action Fairness. Commissioner Holyoak represented class members challenging unfair class actions and consumers fighting regulatory abuse in federal district courts and appellate courts across the country. Commissioner Holyoak has argued in the 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and DC circuits. She is a former prosecutor and attorney with Melviny and Myers LLP. She also is a University of Utah alum. She graduated from the University of Utah S.J. Quincy College of Law in 2003 as a member of the Order of the Coif and the Law Review. So please welcome me and joining her up.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. In addition to graduating from law school, I also attended my undergrad here at the University of Utah. I was a French major, so not too far from this building. But I was privileged when I was at the University of Utah to be a Hinckley Institute intern in Washington, D.C. almost 30 years ago. And it was a fantastic experience. So I highly recommend it to those who are actually thinking about doing that. Before I start speaking, I do want to say that my opinions that I express today are my own. They do not necessarily reflect those of the commission or any other commissioners at the Federal Trade Commission. So what is the Federal Trade Commission? A lot of people are not familiar with it. Even though the name has the word trade in it, we do not deal with tariffs at all. What we deal with are unfair trade practices. So we are trying to protect consumers from unfair trade practices, deception and misrepresentations from businesses to consumers, and from unfair methods of competition. So that would be antitrust claims and anti-competitive behavior. And we do this through our law enforcement, advocacy, research, and our consumer education. And so we are made up of a Bureau of Consumer Protection, and they are focused on our consumer protection laws. We have over 70 statutes that we enforce. And we also have a Bureau of Competition. And that is the bureau that is focused on our antitrust work. And then we have a Bureau of Economics. And that bureau actually supports both of those in our roles, in our mission to protect consumers. There are 5 commissioner spots at the FTC. The president appoints the commissioners, and then they're confirmed by the Senate. So I was appointed by President Biden back in March. But the statute is very interesting in that a president can only appoint 3 of the same political party. So back in March, there already were 3 Democrats that were serving as commissioners. So I was appointed as a Republican commissioner along with my fellow commissioner, Andrew Ferguson, who is now the chairman of the commission. But earlier this year, so when the administration changed, the former chair resigned. There were 4 commissioners, and President Trump terminated the 2 Democrats. So that resulted in a lawsuit, right, which is pending right now in the Supreme Court. And the really interesting question in that lawsuit is whether the president is able to terminate without cause the commissioners. The Supreme Court is going to be hearing argument on that in December. It's a very interesting case, and it deals with precedent that has been around for about 80 years. It's a case called Humphrey's Executor, which you may have heard of. So that will be an interesting case. I will not speak to that case at all. I'm a defendant in that lawsuit. So that is the most I will say about that lawsuit. But I'm really thrilled to be here today because one of our, as I'd mentioned, consumer protection, one of our real big focuses is fraud. And there is so much fraud right now. And so my priorities at the FTC are to ensure that our policy, regulatory enforcement efforts support those goals. But right now, what we're seeing is, as you're living it, as just the development and birth of AI everywhere. And so we are thinking about this every day and thinking about it and how it impacts both of our mission to protect consumers on both sides. And so we want to ensure that we have a regulatory and enforcement effort that promotes AI and protects consumers at the same time. As you know, fraud is all around us. There are fraudsters using very advanced technology to make their schemes more and more difficult to detect. So for example, imagine this. Imagine you are the CFO of a company. Or actually, imagine you work for a company and you're in charge of sending money transfers. Your CFO comes to you and says, okay, I need you to send $25 million to this unknown source, and that you don't know about, that you've never had any business with. So you get the email from the CFO. It looks legit. What do you look for? You look for the address, right? Does it look like our company's address? So you think, okay, well, but let me do a little bit more. So what are you going to do? You jump on a Zoom call, and you're on the Zoom call with the CFO and with many, many of your colleagues and executives, and they're all telling you, yes, this is fine, you should do it in real time. So it sounds fine. So what do? You send the $25 million transfer. What happened? What happens next? It's all fake. This was a real fraud that happened in Hong Kong. All of it was AI in real time, and they were all of his colleagues and the CFO, and appeared in real time to him through AI, telling him to authorize this $25 million transfer, and he transferred it. So for the past several years, imposter scams like this and others have been the top fraud category at the Federal Trade Commission. And there have been total US consumer losses in the billions of dollars. Utahns alone have reported losing more than $28 million in 2024. And just this year, Utah has already reported more than $18 million to fraud schemes. But these reports are most certainly just the tip of the iceberg, because a lot of the times, consumers' experiences with fraud do not get reported. And so along these lines, I really want to emphasize that consumers and businesses need to report the frauds to the FTC. So I just want to show you a quick video on why.
We all see scams. Even if we don't buy into one, we all get the calls, emails, and letters. Why are there so many? Well, scammers see us all as targets, so they keep trying to get our money, or social security number, or account numbers. And they're good at what they do. They know how to knock us off balance just long enough to take advantage. That's why we need a plan. So if you think you've spotted a scam, what do? First, tell somebody. The call or email might seem urgent, but slow down. Talk to a family member, friend, or neighbor. Tell them the story. Sometimes just saying it out loud helps. Maybe your friend got a similar message, or knows someone who has. Or your story might just help your neighbor avoid that scam. Then, tell the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC sues scammers and works to shut them down. When you report a scam to the FTC, investigators use your information to build cases against scammers. Other law enforcement agencies can see the reports too and use them to further their own investigations. Your story makes a difference. Every report is a piece of the puzzle that lets the FTC see the full picture of what scammers are doing, and then stop them. Because scammers don't scam just one person, but you could be the one person whose story tips the balance, stops someone from falling for the scam, or stops the scammer. So tell your story. As soon as you think you see a scam, talk with someone, and then tell the FTC.
Making sure that one doesn't start. Okay. So the FTC, we do not enforce individual cases, right? So if an individual gets defrauded, unfortunately, we do not have the resources to go after the millions of things that get reported to us all the time. So, but that's why it's very important to report the fraud, because what happens is all of those reports get linked into a system called Consumer Sentinel. And this system is used by federal, state, local, and international law enforcement authorities to identify patterns. And with that, we can identify leads for law enforcement to go after these. We also use this, as they were talking about, tell your friends, for consumer education, because it's really important to be able to protect consumers from frauds and scams by informing them of what types of frauds and scams are out there. So what are the imposter scams and why are they so effective? Imposter scams, they occur when someone pretends to be someone a consumer trusts. So this is like a family member, a boss, a colleague, the government, a business, or some well-known organization. The initial communication often is a phone call, a text message, or an email. And so once the scammer gains the consumer's trust, the scammer's goal is to trick consumers into sending money or personal information. So let me show you one.
We all see
Nope, not that
wire
one.
their money or Social Security. Knock us off.
I apologize. Is this clicker working? Okay. There we go.
My dad started off in the Dominican Republic as a DJ 60 some odd years ago. He was the first Dominican actually in the United States to own a radio station. Radio Cumbre has been here for 27 years. We're a family-run business. We're a music format, but we really have a very strong community focus. We're probably close to 40% Hispanic here. It was a Saturday morning, and I got a phone call from my sister. She had gotten a phone call from someone saying that my brother had gotten into a car accident and hit a kid. They needed money to get him out. Not long after that, I'm sitting at my parents' house, and my dad gets a phone call. The person said, "Hey, abuelo, it's your favorite grandson. I'm in Manhattan. I got into a car accident. I kind of need your help." My nephew lives in Florida. He's a college student.
Con artists are very, very good at pretending to be people that they are not. The first thing they do is get you into a state of panic and fear. They don't want you to be thinking very carefully. They'll convince you that your relative is in trouble, somebody that you love is in trouble, and that you can help them. And you can help them by sending money. Don't do it. It's a scam.
It got me really upset, and that's where, I decided, I was like, we've got to come in and do something about this so that other people don't have to do this. What we did was put it in as a news piece during our morning show. We wanted to make the public aware this was happening in our community, that people were getting calls, that the Hispanic community was being targeted.
These scams can target very specific communities. So when it's happening to you, chances are it's happening to people you know, people you love. So tell other people about it. Warn them. By talking about it, telling these stories, you're helping to protect not just yourself, but your whole community. Pablo did a terrific thing. He shared his story. He shared it far and wide. He got it on the radio. And by doing that, he reached hundreds, thousands of people who were able to hear about this scam. Once you know about the scam, you can avoid it.
So in this video, the grandmother received the call, right, that the grandson had been hurt, and needed to help her grandson, and she really believed it was her grandson. So many of you may have received similar calls. Have any of you, do you know a family or friend member who've received a phone call with a similar situation? Maybe raise your hand. Anyone? Okay. Well, it's the intern that helped me put some of the facts and figures together for today. It happened to him, and his parents received a call that said he was in an accident, and they tried to trick him into sending money. In a global survey of 7,000 people, 1 in 4 know someone who have received similar calls. And when they have received that call, 70% of people were not able to determine the difference between the voice clone, the fake one, and the real one. And of those, 77% were victims and lost money. So it's really high numbers. This is not surprising because artificial intelligence is going to be able to effectuate imposter scams much more effectively. And what we're seeing is these deep fake videos and voice clones that are increasingly realistic with synthetic voice generation that occurs in real time. And it's really, really simple to swap a fraudster's face with a victim's in a deep fake video. In fact, an individual's voice can be impersonated with very little information. How many seconds do you think they need of a video to be able to impersonate? Just a guess. It's actually 3. I mean, it's very short. You can say you're on a video saying, "Happy birthday, Mom, we miss you," you're done. So it's very, very short how little information they need to be able to clone voices and perpetuate the frauds. So I wanted to highlight just 2 versions of imposter scams that might be even more amplified by artificial intelligence. These are phishing schemes, and authorized push payment, or we call these APP frauds. So let's start with phishing. We are probably familiar with traditional phishing, right? This has been around for decades. This is where you get an email or a text message. It appears to be from some well-known source, maybe a bank, a mortgage company. Then the phishing scammer asks the consumer to click on a link or to provide personal identifying information, like passwords or bank accounts. And if you click on that, then scammers can install ransomware or other programs that can lock you out of your data, or they might spread to your entire network. And if you share passwords or account information, they will likely gain access to those accounts. So these traditional phishing schemes are rampant. They're still around. But AI-powered phishing schemes have changed the ballgame. So while traditional phishing schemes, they rely on mass distribution of generic messages, AI has the ability to power it and personalize these schemes. And so using data from social media profiles, online activities, public sources, they target groups and individuals with this information. So AI-generated phishing emails may appear more targeted, more contextual, making them even more believable. And some operations may employ AI for real-time conversational attacks. So chatbots are a form of AI generative technology that I'm sure you're familiar with, right? It simulates human-like communication. You can talk to these chatbots, and they act like an interpersonal relationship through text or some other interface. If what's happening with these phishing schemes is that AI is using chatbots and other technology to make it even better So for example, if a victim responds to a phishing message, right? They get a phishing message with a question or skepticism. Like, so let's say you get a text asking you for information, and you say, well, I should be more careful because for security reasons, I'm not going to give you this. The AI chatbots are very, very intelligent in terms of persuasion tactics. So they might respond by praising the target, by saying, that is very smart of you. Good job. You are being very careful with your information. And that praise can lower the target's response and lower their guard. And they help to offer proof of their legitimacy to build trust. So this dynamic ability of AI chatbots for phishing concerns in real time can just make the scheme much more successful. So in fact, a Harvard Kennedy School study found that AI-powered phishing campaigns boast a 54% success rate. This is compared to just 12% for traditional techniques. AI chatbots also may escalate authorized push payment or APP fraud. This is the second kind of fraud I wanted to talk about. So APP fraud occurs when fraudsters trick a victim into voluntarily sending the fraudster's money. Like with prior phishing schemes, the AI APP fraud, they involve very personalized deception using the victim's own data to create highly believable and targeted attacks. So one example is romance scams. They become much more believable with AI. Romance scams work like this. Someone contacts you on social media or a dating website or mobile app, and they're interested in getting to know you. Soon the person wants to write you directly or start talking to you. They say it's true love, but they live far away, so maybe because of work or because they're in the military or some other reason they can't come visit you. And then once they've gained your trust, they start asking you to send money. It could be a wire transfer to help with some purported emergency. And then once you do that, they disappear. So I'm going to show you an example.
My dad.
Nope. There we go. Where this talks a little bit more about romance scams.
Looking for love in all the right places? Like popular dating sites, mobile apps, and social networking sites? Ron seems like a perfect match for you. He's thoughtful and says he can't live without you. He says he's from the US but works out of the country. He says he wants to visit but says he can't afford it. He asks you to send him money. Last month it was medical bills for his sick aunt. This month he needs money to fix his car. Next month, who knows? Ron wants your money. Don't send it. The person pretending to be Ron is a scammer. He'll tell you anything to get you to wire cash right away. He'll never run out of excuses. If an online love interest asks you for money, walk away, no matter how compelling the story. Report scams at ftc.gov/imposters.
So sadly, there are so many instances of romance scams out there, and they play out almost exactly like this. So for example, in 2023, a French woman named Anne fell victim to the romance scam. Anne was first, just like the video talked about, contacted on Facebook by a woman pretending to be Brad Pitt's mom. The woman told Anne that Brad needed a woman like Anne in his life, and he really needed someone like Anne. Anne later received a text from someone pretending to be Brad Pitt, and the relationship began. Eventually, the scammer sent AI-generated photos and videos of Brad Pitt in the hospital. And the scammer told the French woman that he needed money for his cancer treatments because his money was all tied up with his ongoing divorce proceedings with Angelina Jolie. So here are some of the pictures that Anne received. So sadly, Anne sent $800,000 to the fraudster, and it was never recovered. Yet, still. AI-driven romance frauds using chatbots and generative tools can craft highly personalized messages and generate deep fake video and audio and images that build trust with victims. And the chatbots are able to analyze victim responses in real time, just like we had talked about with the phishing schemes and responding. The chatbots, because they're responding in real time and are very good and persuasive, they are very, very effective as they modify their tactics, and they have improved and are learning. Banks and cybersecurity analysts have reported that AI-managed personas can escalate financial requests with these emotional manipulations and get large sums of money from folks over weeks or months by faking emergencies, investment opportunities, or sadly even joint future plans. Send me the money for our future wedding types of requests. And these examples from around the world, like the one in Hong Kong and the one in France, they might seem extreme, but they are not. They are commonplace. These frauds are happening all over, even in the United States, at a record pace because fraud is being fueled by AI, and it's very real. So the question is, what can we do about it? What can we as different stakeholders do to address these issues? As law enforcement, as companies, as lawmakers, as others, as consumers, what can we do about this? At the FTC, we're taking a multifaceted approach to stopping fraudsters who engage in imposter scams and those who make misrepresentations about AI to perpetrate fraud. Let me be clear, this has been the biggest Debbie Downer presentation so far. I am very excited about AI. I think it presents just amazing opportunities and tremendous opportunities for development and growth across all industries. It has the potential to revolutionize the way we live and work. And the administration has set forth a really comprehensive strategy for ensuring that AI innovation can thrive in the United States. This is set forth in a document called America's AI Action Plan. And the FTC is absolutely committed to promoting innovation in AI. There's a saying in the tech industry that bad guys are early adopters. And we have seen this throughout history. So fraud and crime were among the first large-scale uses in things like the telegraph, the telephone, the internet, and crypto. And as our economy moves forward, I suspect the same will be with AI. We will see, and as we integrate with AI, we will see bad actors adopt early. And that is why we need to be particularly vigilant in protecting against these bad actors who want to use this cutting-edge technology to get an edge on unsuspecting users. So consistent with the administration's plan, the AI Action Plan, the FTC is committed to rooting out deceptive and illegal practices. And this is very important for promoting innovation. Because as we fight to remove bad actors out of this newer technology, we can help increase consumer trust in AI. And it's an important part for promoting innovation. So what is the FTC doing? There are 4 areas. We're law enforcement, we're encouraging private innovation, we're conducting studies, and we are engaged in consumer and business education. So first, we're using our authority under Section 5 of the FTC Act, and we have brought law enforcement actions to shut down numerous imposter schemes. To strengthen these efforts, last year, we finalized a rule called the impersonation rule, which gives us really strong tools to go after those scammers who impersonate business or government agencies. Has anyone received a text or something pretending to be a government agency? Yeah, it's rampant. So among other things, this impersonation rule, allows us to get monetary relief in federal court from scammers who are using government seals or business logos, scammers who are spoofing government and business emails and websites, and who are falsely implying government or business affiliation. And this is one we have gone after quite a bit. This is our folks that are reaching out to consumers saying, we're going to help you with your debt problems. And yeah, we're connected with the federal government in helping with loans and student debt. So that is one we have been focusing on quite a bit. The FTC is committed to using our new authority to hold scammers accountable. And so in this first year that the rule went into effect, we have brought cases alleging, like I had said, student debt relief schemes, phantom debt collection, that's where debt doesn't exist, but someone tells you you do owe something, and then also as well as e-commerce business opportunity schemes. In addition, the FTC has worked with domain registrars to shut down 13 websites that were illegally impersonating the Federal Trade Commission online. So it's not just the IRS or someone talking to you about jury duty. Even the Federal Trade Commission has a lot of folks pretending to, scammers out there pretending to be us. And sadly, I've received multiple calls, typically from older consumers who have asked me, did you call me today? Did you reach out to me? And scammers are pretending to be me asking consumers for money. So that impersonation rule will be a really effective tool as we fight AI. We're also taking law enforcement actions against companies who make misrepresentations about AI to deceive consumers. So for example, we just settled an administration action against a company called Workato. So Workato, it markets itself to consumers as being able to determine whether written conduct was generated with AI or by a human. And so the company claimed that it was 98% accurate. But after independent testing, we determined that the accuracy rate was actually only about 53%. And so we went after this company and made sure that they would stop engaging in false or misleading or unsupported advertising. Second, in addition to our law enforcement efforts, we've encouraged private innovation to address some of these issues. So in particular, voice cloning. So after we often at the FTC will hold workshops. We'll bring in experts to talk about issues and figure out ways what we can, as different stakeholders, to address issues. And so we convened a workshop with industry experts, law enforcers, and other stakeholders to examine voice cloning technologies. And what we did here, which was fantastic, is that we created a challenge. And we can do this pursuant to our authority under the America Competes Act, which gives us the ability to conduct prize competitions to simulate innovation and to solve tough problems to advance our mission. So we presented this voice cloning challenge to companies, and it was a call to action for innovators. Help us solve this problem. The problem that we were just talking about with the grandma who received the voice clone message asking for money for her grandson. What do we do about this? What can we do about this problem? And so it was really interesting because we had multiple winning submissions, all of which could prevent harmful use of deepfake voice clones. And they came about it with different approaches, which I thought was phenomenal. One of them used AI, an AI algorithm to be able to differentiate between genuine and synthetic voice patterns. And this is one example of how AI can actually be used for good and to be able to help solve some of the fraud that is being perpetuated by it. Another one was being able to protect the audio samples that are online so folks couldn't harvest them to be able to use for the voice cloning. And then another one was this liveness detection technology that could detect deepfakes in real time. So my hope is that in addition to this voice cloning, that industry will be out there developing technologies to respond to a lot of these problems that we're seeing with AI development in order to fight these bad actors. And I suspect that the FTC will absolutely be invested in that and seek for future opportunities like the America Competes Act to provide ways to support innovation. The third way we fight fraud and promote innovation through the FTC's research is through our research on artificial intelligence. So it is absolutely a priority of the FTC to better understand the issues surrounding the development of AI in this evolving market. So to that end, we have used our authority under 6B. So 6B of the FTC Act is very unusual. It gives us special authority to send out requests to companies to get non-public information about their business practices, and we can use that to generate reports and to be able to communicate that to lawmakers and others in understanding different issues in the market. So in December 2020, we issued orders to social media and companies and streaming platforms to try and understand how these companies were scrutinizing and restricting paid commercial advertising, which was deceptive, relating to financial scams, healthcare products, counterfeit and fake goods, and others. For that study, among other things, the order sought information on their policies and practices relating to paid commercial ads and how they could screen and monitor those for compliance, including through both human review and through automated systems. And so a goal of that study was to understand and shed light on how platforms create ads, including using generative artificial intelligence. What we found was that it provided really important information to the FTC to help us understand, and to help consumers in Congress understand how these companies were working. And so, for example, as a mother, I believe the staff report that was created was really important, provided lots of good contributions regarding how social media treats children and teens and their data. And these topics are really important to policymakers who are trying to understand what to do with this. But this is also really important at this moment because one of the critical inputs for AI is data. So understanding how to use that and how we need to be treating that and thinking about those issues. And in particular, as we're talking about the personal interactions with consumers and consumers' own data, those specific issues are super important. In January, another study, in January 2024, we issued a study regarding AI partnerships and investments. You may have been watching in the news how these companies, it's very interesting to see who's investing in what, and they are somewhat unusual, some of the corporate structures. So that has been very interesting to watch, and that is something that we have been paying close attention to so we can understand the commercial dynamics that are shaping the AI evolution. And then most recently, this last month, we issued a 6B study, on orders for a 6B study, requiring 7 companies that operate consumer-facing AI chatbots to provide us with information regarding children and teens' use of chatbots. As I mentioned, I'm sure you're all familiar with chatbots and how they interact with folks and these interpersonal relationships. But there's been some really concerning issues about children's use of chatbots. Particularly, there's been reports of chatbots providing information on how to commit crimes, chatbots talking and influencing children to commit suicide, self-harm or harm to others, discussing role play, romantic or sexual relationships. At least one child in the United States allegedly committed suicide based on his interaction with the chatbot. And the consumer demand for chatbots is just absolutely expanding. So as of 2024, the global AI companion industry was valued at $28 billion. And a lot of this is likely growing because of children's use of this and their interactions. So the FTC chatbot study seeks information from companies on whether and how they use age-based restrictions, how they limit and use access to data that's gathered from children, collection, use, retention, sharing, and sale of the user's information. And in particular, something I'm interested in, how they're providing parental controls. There was a report just today about parental controls and limitations of children under 18 with the chatbot, AI character chatbots. But I also anticipate that the information we obtain from these chatbots about teenagers and kids, that will become very important in our romance scams and other phishing scams, because we'll understand chatbots and their uses and their persuasion tactics and everything. So that can support our law enforcement efforts. So the fourth thing that we are doing to help the commission with respect to fighting fraud is to educate consumers and how to identify and protect themselves from scams, including those involving artificial intelligence. I cannot stress enough how important consumer education is and how effective it can be. As I mentioned before, consumers have lost billions of dollars in these frauds, but just with a few simple tips, consumers could have avoided significant losses. So I just want to show you another video.
Scam artists are pretending to be IRS officials to get your money. They'll call, email, or text you, claiming you owe back taxes or there's a problem with your tax return. They even rig caller ID to make the call look official. They play on your fears. They threaten to take your driver's license or sue, arrest, or deport you. They want you to pay fast. What's the truth? The truth is the IRS's first contact with you will always be a letter in the mail. It's not a phone call, email, or text message. They won't insist that you pay with a prepaid debit card, a wire transfer, or cashier's check. Now you know. Has an IRS imposter contacted you? Report it at ftc.gov/imposters.
So throughout today's presentation, I've showed you some of the videos that we have on our website on ftc.gov, and we have them on our YouTube channel, on FTC's YouTube channel. And my fellow commissioners and I are also recording and posting other short videos to try and really educate folks about the different frauds that are out there that are prevalent that you might see. So I would encourage you all to take a look at those and forward them to friends and family to help educate folks on what kinds of frauds are out there. To that end, I want to also share just a newer thing that have been created. And this is a written material we have, and we can leave it on the desk so people can take it, but I'll show you what it is in this slide. This is a contact sheet, and I'm not sure, hopefully you can maybe see some of it. But this contact sheet, what it does, it's helping consumers get ready for a scam or a fraud. So if they suspect that someone is trying to scam them, they will have their contact information right here. And they can have it in one simple place, like all of their businesses, your banks or someone else. It's also very good idea to have a trusted friend, someone you think who could help you to spot a scam. And this is something we're encouraging people to do, to have those numbers written down so that when you're in the midst of a scam, if something's happening, you have that in place. One of the tips in this last video we tried to emphasize to consumers is to slow down. Because what scammers want to do, they want to create this pressure like you have to respond immediately. And so I don't know, do you guys remember as kids the stop, drop, and roll? If you're on fire, caught on fire. I want you to think about that for scams. Stop, drop, and call. Stop what you're doing, slow down, drop the call, drop the text, and then call your actual bank, call a friend that you trust, that you know. So that contact sheet can be very helpful for folks. And if you're not a paper person, fill it out, take a picture, and save it, maybe not in your 40,000 photos section, but like in a different note or whatnot. But somewhere where you can actually have that information. And I want to share just a last example of a recent scam that happened to a young student in Utah. So this student received a call from someone pretending to be their bank. And they told him that someone at the bank had created a replica driver's license and was going to be able to access it with a different photo. And so they told the student that this teller was involved. And so the student had to go into the bank and close it out. Keep me on the phone because that teller is going to tell you that you can't shut down your bank so they can have access to the funds. And so the student, of course, was panicked. It was all of the student's money and followed the instructions. And then the fraudster said, we created this universal account for you. If If a fraudster tells you that, that is not a real thing. And so then the student put the money in the universal account, and then it was gone. So just so you can understand, a few things. When I talked to the student after the experience, and what he said was he was so panicked because this was all of his money that he had saved and ready to start school, or to start college. And what happens in that moment when there's pure panic, and this is why we stress stop, drop, and call, slow down. Because in that panic, in that moment, what the student explained was that he couldn't remember what he had told the fraudsters and what the fraudsters had told him in terms of like providing account information. And after the fact, the student's like, of course this doesn't sound right. But in the moment, you're panicking and you're so scared that you're going to lose this information, lose all of your financial money, that you are willing to do what it takes, and you're trusting the source that is pretending to help you through this really stressful time. So that's why I can't stress enough the stop, drop, and call, like really the slowing down to help you think through these things. And it's what I tried to stress to this young student, and particularly that they are very sophisticated. I've had family members and friends that have been frauded. I've had, and this is people that are very highly educated. One friend who is a doctor received a call telling him he had missed jury duty and to show up with money in front of the police station. That is how brazen these fraudsters are. They will show up and collect your money in front of the police station. So, and he was very concerned. His wife called me and I said, drop the call right now. That is not how the courts work. So this is happening to everyone. I just spoke to another friend who spoke to doctors who had been defrauded from these texts with tolls. Have you guys received any of those texts? Yes. So a lot of folks that have been defrauded of that with those texts. And in fact, that one almost got me because I was thinking, oh wait, I was in Virginia just that while ago. And that one was really, really convincing. And it's because they are so convincing. They're getting more sophisticated. They're using the technology to make these even better and more effective. And consumers, they may feel foolish, like, do I sound stupid if I call a friend and ask them about this? That is, please do not feel foolish. Reach out to a friend, ask them. Before I conclude, I want to emphasize that I really do think the FTC should be aiming to facilitate, not hamper, innovation in artificial intelligence, and I think we can do it. I know it can provide immeasurable benefits for businesses and consumers. But let me make clear, the FTC can do both. We can both promote innovation in AI and remain vigilant in enforcing the law against fraudsters. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much again for joining us. We have time for a few questions if you've had them throughout. So we're going to start right here, and please state your name if you're studying something.
Hi, my name is, can you hear me? Okay, hi, Sava. I was just wondering, like, what percentage of the AI frauds were you able to successfully prosecute and shut down?
I don't have those numbers. This is also, these things take a lot of time to be able to work against these. The one thing I also didn't mention is that a lot of these are becoming even more international. We do have authorities to be able to work with our international partners. So under the US Safe Web Act, we can work with foreign jurisdictions to be able to gather information, share information in prosecuting these consumer protection crimes. But they do take a while, and it can be very difficult.
What's the average turnaround time to prosecute?
It just depends on the case.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so you had mentioned putting age restrictions on chatbot companions. I was curious about the First Amendment implications of that. I know you guys prosecuted ALO with the state of Utah, won that. For those of you who don't know, that's Pornhub. And then there's a current lawsuit right now with the state of Utah with Meta and also TikTok in some age restriction type minor content consumption. So if you could talk a little bit about that, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. So we did not place any age restrictions on chatbots. So this was a company that on its own did that. And so I suspect what's interesting is that we will see companies be doing that as more of these harms or concerns and issues appear. We may see companies doing things on their own to protect consumers. We may not. We'll see as we keep studying these issues. But age restrictions is an important question. That obviously was something that Utah passed a while ago, and that was a case that actually went before the Supreme Court, not Utah's law, but a similar law out of Texas in terms of whether such age restrictions were appropriate, and this was related to porn websites. And there the Supreme Court found that they were appropriate. So I do see that there might be some interest in this area and some development in this area. In a related field, we enforce a statute called COPPA, and this is a statute that protects kids under 13 related to their privacy. And what this statute does is if you are an online operator and you're collecting data from under 13-year-olds, then you have to give parents notice and the ability to provide verifiable consent. So we recently had a case against Disney. So Disney had a bunch of videos they were uploading to YouTube. And in Disney, if the videos you upload are designated for kids, then YouTube will not collect information from them. But what was happening is Disney was uploading these videos without that designation, so it was collecting information from kids. We sued Disney, and we had a $10 million settlement against them. But importantly, it requires them to now ensure reviewing all of the videos to make sure that they have that proper designation. But what's really interesting about that order that we came up with is it also provides another provision in there that says that if YouTube comes up with their own age verification process, that Disney would not be required to review all of those. So it's basically this incentive for Disney to incentivize other companies to have that age verification process in place to avoid that compliance requirement.
All right, we have one or two more questions, and we'll start right here.
Is there any desire in the future to limit more general data collection means, not just for kids, but for everyone, especially as we're seeing data be used for more sinister purposes like scams?
Mm-hmm. It's such a fascinating question, and it is really a question that is happening globally everywhere. So I just recently attended the Global Privacy Assembly in Seoul, Korea, and have spoken on privacy issues in Tokyo and others just in the last month. And these are who attends this are privacy authorities from all over the world. So I was representing the United States there because even though we do not have, the United States does not have a comprehensive privacy legislation. What we have right now are different states that have different privacy laws in place. But we do enforce some privacy statutes, including the one that I mentioned, COPPA. But also the FTC has brought some actions related to privacy. But the reason why it's so important at this very moment is because as I had mentioned, AI has a couple of different critical inputs, right? You have talent, you have electricity, you have data centers, infrastructure, but data is one of those critical inputs. So whatever you do to data in terms of regulation can have a direct impact on how that innovation grows and how there's competition in that market. So that approach is very important and very interesting to many jurisdictions on how to do that. And you can see in some regimes where the regulatory environment is very difficult, that they're going to have more difficulty in innovation and AI in those areas. But it doesn't mean that we don't care about privacy, right? And so as a commissioner, I have supported different privacy actions, including ones with sensitive location. So those are brought under our general privacy statute, which is our general, unfair and trade deceptive statute, which is Section 5. And that is very broad, and it allows us to go after any harm to consumers where they can avoid it and where there's no countervailing benefits to consumers or to competition. And so that's where we have used that authority to go after different privacy concerns, but particularly in sensitive location data. And that would include places of worship, medical facilities, and that is like precise geolocation data. But when we did that, like I was mentioning, that statute is a real cost-benefit analysis statute. We have to look at the very specific harms that are attached with the data we're trying to protect. There is a real cost-benefit analysis that has to happen when we're looking at privacy and data. One of the reasons why the United States, why we have so many free websites, is because our data is basically allowing those websites to activate for free. So if that is something that we regulate and take that away, you are going to see loss of access to many, many websites. In fact, what we've seen is natural experiments in other countries where they've offered consumers the ability to share your data and get it access for free, or not have your data and pay for that. And overwhelmingly, the people that would like to share their data to get access to free. So we have to weigh those costs and benefits as we're looking at a whole as to how to approach privacy.
All right. I know there's a few more
So I
questions.
could talk to you for like 5 hours on this.
We have a few more questions. We have time for maybe one more right here.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm an English major. You mentioned the large influx of the AI scams because it's just such a powerful tool. I was wondering if perhaps with this influx, we should have some kind of inclusion in high school curriculum to defend students who are either just recently acquired phones or are going into, and how do we get this information, the videos, out into the wider public? I'm surprised I haven't seen, warnings. Most people learn because they got duped by it or from a family member who had. Thank you.
Oh, no, it's such an excellent question. And I really couldn't stress more. I wish we had unlimited funds to be able to push out these videos and to be able to get to consumers. We have some materials on our website that are specifically dedicated to children, ages like younger children, to be able to teach them about some of these scams and frauds at a very early age so that they can recognize this. And so we have worked with educators to be able to make sure that this is available. Some of what you're talking about would be very much up to the states in order to sort of integrate that curriculum into the different schools.
Right. So unfortunately, we are at our time. First, join me in thanking Commissioner Holyoak for being here today. And a few quick notes for you as you leave. As mentioned at the beginning of today's forum, we have a civic engagement fair. A few clubs from across campus are right outside here. So please go out this door, actually. You can grab pizza and then check out some of the tables on your way out. Thank you for joining us at the Hinckley Institute. We hope to see you next time.